I saw them just in their own process. I saw them doing what we had shared. Like they would write a sentence and then they would go back and reread it and like whisper read it, or I saw them like tracking their own writing. And I think that in the very primary grades, we do a lot of shared writing and like modeling the writing and rereading that writing. But we could, as they get a little older, we expect them to do more independently. And so I don't know that these guys get a lot of shared writing and then model, then they do it themselves. So that was kind of interesting that they took that process that we did and then they did it independently.
As Amanda said, part of the data she's been collecting for this pilot, when so grateful for the principal and Amanda and the reading specialist for all agreeing to try it out, because what we've been doing isn't really getting them far, so let's try something different. And through that process, Amanda has a rubric there on the table, and the students then are individually talking about the topics. So these individual 2-minute conversations are perfect for data collection. The rubric looks at, Amanda, help me, it has vocabulary, comprehension of the prompt.
Yeah, I actually pulled it up right here. It has comprehension. So it's an overall 25-point rubric. And each of these 5 things has a score of 5. So it has comprehension, um, like understanding the prompt and the question and able to respond to the prompt. And then it has vocabulary, grammar, fluency, and pronunciation. This reminds me for myself to record things and just for myself too, because when I play this back and I realize like, yeah, his vocabulary was there, but his grammar and sentence structure was not there. I could have done a lot better job of teaching that. And or like when looking at this whole 25-point rubric that I was looking at, after a time of four cycles doing this, I realized I think I got the content part down. I think I got the vocabulary part, like that part of my goal of teaching was good, but I needed to really focus on the language, the grammar and like the sentence fluency with the speaking. Um, and I think part of the reason is because we took the 5-day process and squeezed it into 3 days. And when I do this again, I will do it differently and more to your model that you gave us today with more of a language focus.
What kind of growth did you see overall?
I'm trying to pull up some of my data here. I see that um, my one that sat in the middle that I comment, oh my goodness, she's speaking. She is one of my favorite students. Her name's Valentina. She, prior to this intervention, the fit cycle before, we were doing letters and sounds, and she wasn't making much progress out of the kindergarten phonics stuff of CVC blending with reading. So we tried to try a different approach with this oral language. And in week 1, I did a pre-assessment and she scored a 10 on the rubric. By the end of week, which is considered in the beginner band of the oral language rubric. And by the end of week 4, she was scoring an 18, which is a 17, which is the very beginning of the next level. I'm sorry. So the beginner is 0 to 10. Intermediate is 11 to 17. So she started at a 10 and she went to 17. So she changed bands and she went to the highest level of the next band. I mean, within 4 cycles of this, which it did take approximately 7 or 8 weeks because we had testing and there was all sorts of schedule disruptions. But if it would have been, it would have been 4 weeks. So to me, that's a very big growth for her. I mean, prior to this, I was working on CVC words with her, and the words that she was producing in conversation were at that level. And now she, is speaking with more advanced vocabulary and reading, like you saw her reading those charts because of that constant choral reading and going through, and she's just more confident working with words and language. She still does need the phonics, but this gave it something to stick to. Like,